Hi, Professor K here. I wanted to make sure that we were talking about the writing process and what to do with your papers and research now that we've already written one assignment. So this is an instructional video and it is on writing process and revising for college level work. So you probably already have an assignment, and we just want to think about the writing process as a few key things, right? So there's 5 major areas: pre-writing, drafting, revision, editing, and proofreading. And if we think about the most important one right now, this is where we are in the process, right? So even though you've already submitted your assignment, now we want to think about what needs to go into that assignment and how did we go about it. So let's talk about pre-writing as an important part of the writing process. Okay, so what we're doing when we're pre-writing is reading the piece and doing research. So there's sort of these 2 ideas, right? So while you're reading, here are some good skills to start to think about: annotating, taking notes. When you come across words that you don't know, write them down. Go to Google and see what they mean, or pull out your dictionary. And if you're not understanding the topic, you might want to do preliminary research. That means you can go to Wikipedia and just sort of look it up or do a Google search. Consider your rhetorical design. That means, how are you arguing? Make sure that you can answer all of these things, and then go to the library website. So this one is referring to a different library website, but you have a library website that you can use. Okay, other things that you can do: you can make pictures for yourself. So you probably had a teacher that taught you how to do a cluster diagram or a visual storyboard. You can make a comic strip, and for my class, you can make a meme for extra credit. So we're already here now. We've already written the assignment. That's your first draft, paper number 1. So just kind of thinking about your diagnostic and what you did, and you can also think about outlining or making a mock diagram of your paper. So that's the second part of drafting. When we actually do the writing, we want to think about how to organize your thoughts. So the classical structure is the 5-paragraph essay, the beginning, the middle, or the end. As we can talk about this, every essay should have an introduction, it should include a thesis, and then there are body paragraphs and a conclusion. So just to kind of think about what comes next, which is revision, that's where we are right now. So things that you can do, once you kind of think about what I've said on your paper, you can rewrite, you can reorganize, you can think about what your peers have said, you can look at my comments, and I always say a really good thing to do is to include an epigraph and write a new conclusion. Also going to the writing center. So you want to get in the habit of asking for help, because writing is not a solitary process. You do it at home by yourself, but then in the college classroom, you start to show it to other people. And that's how professional writing will take place as well. So when you're on the job, in your future career, you'll be having other people look at what you've written. So you want to think about how to revise on a global scale. Then we go to editing. This is a really slow process. Let me just take this out. So when we start to think about what we want to do with these pieces, just sort of thinking about checking your sentences. Is there a subject and a verb? Is there agreement in the subject and the verb? Do you use transitions? Did you remember to include support? Meaning, did you take something from what you read and put it into your paper, which is a really good thing to start to think about. After we do the editing, that's when we go to proofreading. Proofreading is just going to think about the mechanics of the paper and punctuation. So now you might want to think about how this process can happen all at once. It's helpful to kind of think of the assistants, right? How well do you read? Are you open to new ideas? Can you move paragraphs and restructure? Are you willing to make changes on sentences? And what small changes need to be made? So your assignment is asking you to consider all of these things when we're thinking about making some changes. The next thing that you want to think about is your formatting. So this is the MLA format. And it is important to, let's see if I can get this, go ahead. It is important to kind of think about the fact that the paper has to look a certain way in college. So this is what it should look like. This is the MLA format. Here's a header. If you click into this in your word processor, it shows you that you are using a header. And it's important to kind of consider, because this is, if your paper is printed, you want to make sure that your name is on every page. So we have the last name and the page number. You can insert the page number and make sure that it matches the font. All the font should be, you want your font to be, here it is, Times New Roman 12-point font. So that's what we're using. And then we are first name, last name, my name, or your professor's name, the name of the course, and the date, which needs to look just like this. So notice that the date is the, it updates automatically, so you can tell the computer to do that as well. So then you want to give your essay a title. So it shouldn't be homework number 1 or essay number 1. Your title should be something about the Rose piece, right? So you want to say something like Mike Rose's Hidden Intelligence and the Blue Collar Worker. You want to give it a title. Make sure it's in title caps. That means that every word is capitalized and there's actually no punctuation. And then I ask my students to do this, which is, this is really cool. This is an epigraph. So I like my students to use an epigraph. An epigraph is going to give the speaker credibility, right? It adds credibility. So you want to include a quote from anyone. And in this case, you want it to be a significant person. If everybody doesn't know who that person is, you should tell your audience who it is. So this is Kurt Vonnegut. And then you can see that the paper goes into, every paragraph is indented 5 spaces. Students should start the paper with an introduction, a personal story, a thesis. Paragraphs are about 6 to 7 ideas. So you want to organize your thoughts. Be sure that the paper has a beginning, middle, and end. Don't just drop off the page after you run out of things to say. And remember to include information or a prediction in your conclusion. So you see here, what's the solution in your mind on slaughter? What other questions does your paper raise about graph? And then the last page is your MLA works cited. So you finish the paper and then you generate a works cited page. Now all that information is available to you on the OWL website. This is a really great website to use. It is the OWL Purdue, and it has all kinds of information about conducting research and MLA style. It will show you what formatting you want to use, how to cover things. It gives you a set of instructions. But for the most part, you can go to the course, and I have included a template that you can use. So you just want to take over the template and replace this information with your information. So your last name, your first name, your last name. Okay, I hope that that's helpful. That's what we want to do for revision. And you can resubmit those papers for the time being. It's an optional assignment. Okay, good luck.